Welcome to the introduction to QuickStart today. I'll be handing you over to Corey. I'll not take any thunder from his presentation, so I'll let Corey take over and get on with the presentation. And any questions that you may have, can you please put them in the chat, or we'll have a session at the end for questions. Over to you, Corey. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Julie. Appreciate it. So I'd like to welcome everyone here this morning and this afternoon in regards to whatever time zone you're in right now. Thank you for sitting in on this session. We're going to be talking about our QuickStart solution for SAP Business One that we are working with Ascari. And what we've done is we've created a reporting and dashboarding solution leveraging IBM technology specifically tailored for SAP Business One. So today's agenda that we're going to be covering is going to be an overview of the solution of what we call QuickStart. Now, this QuickStart solution is going to go into detail and talk to you about the value proposition, talk to you about a live demo, being able to show you what the solution can do. We'll talk about the methodology that we use, what's available in the QuickStart solution, a little bit about who we are, and then end the session with a question and answer period so we can address any sort of questions that you have with regards to the solution. So basically, what we've done is address a big problem inside of the SAP Business One community with regards to confidence in reporting, where a lot of users are going into the system trying to be able to pull information, but they keep pulling up the wrong information. Or they're going into meetings and everybody has different reports and different numbers that they're showing. So what we've done is we've tried to consolidate everything to give people the ability to have what we like to refer to as one version of the truth. So in order to do that, what we've done is we've created a self-service reporting environment to allow business users to be able to make decisions without having to rely on IT, without having to rely on someone else to help get them that information. Because we want to empower those business users to make those decisions. And in order to do that, what we've done is we've extracted the information from SAP Business One into a pre-built data warehouse, data mart, or other people refer to it as a reporting database that is completely customizable for your environment, meaning we have the ability to not only bring in standard fields inside of SAP Business One, but any sort of user-defined fields known as UDFs, user-defined tables, UDTs, or any other data sources that you want to bring in. Maybe you're working with other third-party applications, giving you the ability to have one centralized area for your SAP Business One data into one reporting area, giving you access to that information. So again, what we're going to be showing you is the information, what you get standard, and show you some of the abilities from a customization perspective. And again, giving you the ability to grow with the system. So you're able to start small and be able to grow outwards. Now, the features that this solution provides is it's for customers that are running both either SQL Server or HANA versions of SAP Business One. It's cloud available. There's full-blown data security. So giving you the ability to secure things either by a group of users where you can control what people see. So you have the ability to control things from the perspective of what a specific user can see from either fields, either folders, or even from the ability to control at the data level, where you might have a specific salesperson, as an example, where you only want them to see their data. So really giving you the ability to have one sort of environment where you can create one report, and depending on that person's permissions, that's going to determine what they're able to see. So this way, you're not having to manage a series of reports for a particular user. You can actually set that up and then let the security handle what they're able to see or what they're not able to see. It's completely browser-based so that you don't have to install anything physically on the end user's machine. So again, giving them that ability. And there's a lot of different formats that you can look at the reports or dashboards in, whether it be in a HTML, whether it be in a browser from the perspective of being able to see PDF, whether it's see it in Excel. So you have a variety of things. And again, it's completely mobile and tablet friendly. Now, what we like to talk about in regards to the solution is that we use a typical customer example to resonate the value that we're bringing to the table. So we use the example of a customer called Fisher Technology, and in their environment, they were relying extensively on queries inside of SAP Business One, or they're relying on a lot of reports that were done inside of Crystal Reports. But the problem inside of this environment or inside of this customer was the fact that there were a lot of people in the organization that understood the tables, that understood the fields, that understood the relationships, and they didn't know about a lot of the reports that were there and which information that they can trust. So anytime that they wanted to run something, they had to rely on something that was already pre-created by someone else. But when it came to the point where they needed additional information or a different type of report, there were delays because they either had to go to someone inside the organization that knew the tables, that knew the data, or they needed to rely on their SAP partner to be able to provide them. And then there's that time that it took to get that information. And 9 times out of 10, what ended up happening is by the time that they needed to make the decision, they would make the decision based on gut instinct because they weren't able to necessarily get the data at their fingertips to make that. So what happened was we created the solution called QuickStart for SAP Business One, where customers can be up and running in 2 to 3 weeks very quickly in regards to working with the system. And it's very friendly. It's business friendly. So a business user can actually work with this, and we can sit down with the user and show them how quickly and how easy it is going to be. And once we show that in the demo, you'll understand the type of flexibility that we provide to the business user. We really gear it towards the business user. Now, the benefit that ended up coming back with was really giving them dashboard capability, the ability to create ad hoc reports on their own. And they were kind of in a way where a lot of the users didn't necessarily even need to now go into SAP to get the information. They were able to create the report inside of this environment and give them the information that they want. So if there were users that we want to give access to the information without kind of giving them, per se, a license for SAP, this is a great way to be able to extend that information to them without kind of giving them access to SAP Business One. And what they say is, at the end of the day, anybody that needs enhanced reporting and analytic capability, this is the solution that they should be looking at. So they really enjoyed looking with that, and they kind of gave this really nice testimonial in regards to how smooth the implementation went. And again, having us as a resource to be able to continually have access to the system if they wanted some additional support and or training on how to work with the tool. Okay. So to give you an idea of the customization capability, basically what happens was we use another example where a customer that's in the food industry, where we took their model, and you can see on the right-hand side, where we've provided the ability to give some enhanced capability. So what does that mean? Well, in this particular case, in the food industry, SAP was giving them a certain level of profitability analysis where they were able to see things like sales and cost and being able to see things with regards to gross profit. But the challenge that this customer had was there was a lot of things that were happening behind the scenes with regards to trade spend or claimbacks or things with regards to freight that impacted their gross profit. And we were pulling some of that information in different modules in SAP. We were pulling some of them from AP, we were pulling them some places from the GL, but again, giving them the ability to give them true profitability and being able to now analyze that without having to take the information that SAP is giving them, export things out to Excel, and then massage the information to be able to get to the level of detail that they want. once we kind of put this and automated this inside the system, it gave them that ability at their fingertips to get access to that information. So again, being able to bring in things like claimbacks, which they had for larger clients, things with regards to trade span, or things with regards to freight, and really being able to isolate that. That's really what we tried to do and help with regards to a particular customer. So just really showing you the customization capability that you have the ability to do whatever you want inside the system, because again, we're making the reporting environment, we're giving you a vanilla environment to start with the ability to customize on a needed basis. Okay. So in terms of the solution itself, the solution has 3 different tiers, from operations to finance to budgeting and forecasting perspective. And each one of them comes with a reporting database, with dashboarding capability and reporting capability. But when we're dealing with the budgeting, for example, sales budgeting side of things, or the finance side of things, it gives you planning capability as well. So where you can kind of leverage the planning capability inside of the IBM technology to give you a robust capability of being able to analyze things, of doing things like actual versus budget directly inside the system. And again, it's fully customizable. But again, you could start with just operations, you could start with just finance, and then you can kind of add on things as you see fit. Now, in terms of the solution itself, we have modules. So today we have approximately 30 modules that you can choose from in order to work with the solution. The standard, as an example, you'll look at operations, which has quotations, orders, invoicing, and inventory. And those are the standards. And then you can start adding on additional modules as you see fit. So you can start small and work your way outwards. When you're looking at financials, you could look at geofinancial reporting, you can look at AP and AR. Again, being able to start with that and then being able to add on some of the other areas. Some of the latest additions are listed here with regards to insight for customers, opportunities, return requests. Again, we're always adding new modules. So these are the ones that exist today, but we're always getting new requests from customers. And what we're trying to do is we're always trying to look at how we can make these new requests available to other customers so that they don't need to reinvent the wheel. And again, if there are modules that you would be looking at that you would want to have, we would be glad to work with you to be able to collaborate to create any sort of customization or customized model that you want to have. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to achieve is we're looking at a lot of use cases with customers and saying, what's the business problem that you're trying to solve? How can we help automate that? And then put it into a package that makes it easy for your users to consume, to be able to solve business problems in the organization. Now, in terms of how the solution works, basically, it's almost like a menu type system. So if you look on the right-hand side, you're going to see the order book, where you're going to have things like calendars and contacts and salespeople and items. But when you look at items, you're going to see other subfolders that are there that, again, this is some of the things that you get out of the box standard. And any of these things can be renamed, it can be removed, fields can be added. Again, really giving you the full-blown flexibility, but we're trying to give you a starting point, leveraging best practices with regards to any particular organization that's there. So again, the information can be added, can be removed, whatever you want. Now, you're going to see other things with regards to customers and suppliers, but then you're going to also see some of the fact tables like sales credits. People will say, well, why did you consolidate sales and credits together? For those that are familiar with SAP Business One, you'll know that sales comes in the invoice header, invoice detail table, but then the credits comes in another set of tables for credit header and credit detail. What we've done is we've consolidated that information into one subject area with the ability to have a transaction type that will allow you to differentiate between sales and credits. Therefore, if you wanted to be able to see what you're doing and have a net position of your sales and credits, that's what's going to happen out of the box. However, if you want to differentiate between a specific sale transaction or a credit transaction, leveraging the field transaction type will allow you to differentiate between the two, thereby not needing to export information from SAP, bring it into Excel, consolidate it, and then report on it from there. So that's what we've done from an order book perspective. And we've also added things with regards to our GL reporting side of things, where we kept things completely separate. And the reason why we've done that is people normally that have access to operations are not necessarily going to have access to financials. So we created it in two separate packages. That's really what we've kind of provided. And then what we've done also is we've organized it. So you can see where you have your periods, you can have your chart of accounts, the transactions and the income statement and the balance sheet. But we've also incorporated the budget area as well. So you can do actual versus budget. But at the same time, you'll be able to create a P&L and be able to go right down to the journal entry, right down to the transaction to be able to see exactly what those numbers make up. And as you're going to see as we get into the demo, you'll see what we're going to be talking about as it relates to financial reporting. So right now, without any further ado, I'm going to go right into the demo and show you a little bit of what we can do and how we can do this. So I'm going to switch screens right now. And what you can see right now in my screen, I have the environment. So again, it's a completely web-based environment that we're working with here that allows the user to be able to do things. Now, what you're going to see is we're leveraging IBM Cognos Analytics. Now, these are the tools that we're working with from IBM. And what we've done is we've created a solution specifically tailor-made for SAP Business One customers. So we've created that reporting database, as I mentioned before, and we've created a model that allows you to report against that data. So in order to do that, what we do is we go up here in the top left open menu, and I'm just going to click, and I have the ability to create a new report or a new dashboard. So I can click on new. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see a whole bunch of options that allow me. So I can say I want to create a new dashboard. I click on dashboard, and it's going to ask me to pick a template. So I'm going to pick a template that I like. So I click on the template that I like. I click on create. And now it's going to open up that template. The next thing that it's going to ask me to do is choose a source. So I'm going to choose the source that I've created. So I have a series of packages. And I'm going to go ahead and choose my order book, and I click on add. Once I've selected that, you're going to see a whole series of things that are available here. So you can see now that I have the calendars that's available to me. And if I open that up, you're going to see a bunch of fields that are there from calendar year. If I click on it, it's going to show me all of the fields that are there. I can see my calendar quarter, my calendar month. Again, a series of things. If you want to look at things fiscally as compared to calendar, you have that option. But then you also have the ability to look at things from a relatives perspective as well. So you can look at things with regards to your relatives. So rather than asking for timeframes, you can say, well, I want to look at current month or current month last year, and you can create your reports in a very easy fashion. Now, going down the list, we can see we also have our items, as I showed before, where you can see that I've got folders within subfolders that's organized. But in this particular case, you're going to see some customization because there are some standard fields like item description, item family, selling unit of measure. But then what this particular customer environment has is you can see things like item category, item subcategory, classification. These are all UDFs that the customer wanted to be able to play with in order to be able to get a handle on their reporting, because they were looking at things very different and they didn't want to just report on just item family. They wanted other things that were there. So I can see a whole bunch of other stuff that's there with regards to categories that are able to report on. Now, if I close that up, I can see I've got some cost cell information. I've got some supply information. And again, when I'm looking at supply, I'm starting to see some on-hand quantities, on order quantities. And again, this information is available for us to be able to just drag and drop and bring onto the canvas. But again, here I'm looking at supply because I'm looking at on-hand inventory at the item master, but then I've got the same information with regards to that, what we're looking at, we have that at the item warehouse level as well. So again, I can look at that same information, but this time I'm looking at by warehouse. So again, it really depends on how you want to analyze that. Now, if I'm looking at customers, you're going to see the ability to look at ship dues and bill dues. It organizes things accordingly. So we're not just looking at the business partner table, we're breaking it up between bill dues and ship dues. So I can kind of see that information. And again, it's broken up into subfolders because it's organized for the business user. If I want to see some information, I've got the description of the customer, the territory, the salesperson. And again, any sort of UDFs that you want to be able to have giving that ability to look at. Again, if I go through some of the other stuff that's here as it relates to sales credits, you're going to see things where we have our header information for documents. So the invoice status, the invoice number, the invoice date. Again, a number of fields. We're not bringing in every single field inside of SAP Business One. We're bringing in the fields that are most common, the most popular ones that are used. But again, if there are ones that are not there, we could always add, or we can always customize to bring those additional fields in to make it easy to report off of. You have your line information as well. And again, you can see all that information is there. As I spoke about before, we had that whole concept of transaction type that really gives you the ability to differentiate between sales and credits. Now, if I go down to the more important ones that are here, as opposed to that, I can open up, my line key figures, and you're going to see some additional fields that are there with regards to quantity, gross sales, net sales, cost of goods sold, and any sort of other customized fields that you might want to have from a reporting perspective. So again, if I want to be able to start reporting on things, I have the ability to play around with this, where I can take something like net sales and I can just drag and drop it onto the canvas. And I'll just do that, and you'll see what'll happen is it'll go against the reporting database and bring that information with what we're looking at in terms of the environment. So again, it's going to pull that information in, and we can actually see exactly what's going on. So in this particular case, I can see that there's $558 million. But we've got to take that into context, because if you recall, when we went up to the top and we looked at our years, we have a lot of different years that are in here. We have information that goes back, about almost 9 years of data. So again, if I wanted to see something for a specific date, I can say, well, I just want to see it for 2023. I can just take 2023, drag and drop it onto the canvas, and now the numbers that I'm looking at are just for that particular year. And again, I have the ability to interchange whatever year that I want. Maybe I want to include 2 years, but again, I can pick and choose however I want to see things. So it really gives me that flexibility. Now, in looking at this information, I also have the ability to say, you know what, well, I want to see gross profit as well. So I can take gross profit and I can just drag and drop it onto the canvas, and it's going to give me that information for 2023 as well, right next to it. So it really gives me that ability. And again, I can see that there's 15 million. I can bring in other fields like discounts if I want. I can bring in other things like, in this case, there's an example here for broker commission. Again, just bring that in. And again, it's going to just bring in that information for me to be able to look at. But now I have the ability to bring that into context. So what I can do is I can bring something in, like go to my customer area, and I can say, you know what, I want to take the salesperson. So I'm going to take the salesperson, and I'm just going to bring it over here into the lower left-hand quadrant. Now, once I do that, what's going to happen is it's going to bring that information to me, and it's going to allow me to resize things. So again, I can just drag and drop it. Again, I like to show how easy it is to create these reports and dashboards from a business perspective, just to show you how easy it is to work with. So now that I have the salespeople there, I can see the numbers that I did for 2023, but I can click on one particular salesperson, and what will happen is my numbers are going to change. It's going to say, okay, I picked on Aaliyah, and I can see that the numbers have changed now for 10 million. Maybe I want to look at Emily instead. But again, it's showing me the different numbers that I'm looking at. If I want, I can actually control click and pick more than one person. And again, now it's showing me the net sales between these 3 people. Again, at any point in time, I can change it. Now, maybe I want to bring other things into context, so I can go into my item area, and I can say in my item master, I want to pull something like item category. And again, I can bring that right over here on the right-hand side. And again, it's going to bring all the information that's available for that particular area. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and resize things to the way I want. And again, having the ability to say, okay, I've got Alfredo, Aaliyah, and Arthur, but I only want to see it just for fruits and vegetables. I only want to see it for sweet plantains. So again, giving me that ability to further filter things however I want to see things. So again, if I want to remove filters, all I have to do is click on the filter icon that's over here, and you're going to see what's being selected. So you can see the 3 salespeople. I can just click on the delete filter, and it goes away. I can do it again, and I can remove the one for item category. And again, it's going to bring us back to that original number of that 85 million. So really giving you that flexibility on how you want to pull things. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some other stuff into this just to show you how easy it is to work with. So I can take something like gross profit as an example, and I'm just going to bring that right onto the dashboard over here. So it's going to match the number that we're going to see over here in the top right-hand corner. So I should see that 15,166,000. But again, I'm looking at these things. Maybe I want to format these things first before I start continuing. So I can click on the 85 million. I can say, you know what, I want to format this so it looks like a dashboard number. So I can say, format it for a number and abbreviate it. So now I'm seeing 86 million. I could do the same thing for gross profit, just to make it easy to consume from a filter perspective or from a display perspective. But now that I've got the 15 million over here, what I can do is I can actually bring this into context. I can take the customers that are over here, and what I can do is I can take the bill tos that are here, and I can drag and drop that right onto that number. And what's going to happen is that's going to explode that information using a level of AI to say, this is the best display that we think you should be looking at when looking at this information. Now, I'm looking at this, I say, okay, this is the information that's there. I can put my mouse over it. It's going to tell me Cheney was at 931. I can see that this over here, which is Spectrum, is at 928. May not be the best display, but it thinks that this is the best display. If you like it, fine, but you also then have the ability to change that, where you can actually go here and say, you know what, I don't like that display. I want to look at the other displays that are available. So it's going to show me some recommended visualizations. And again, I'm going to scroll down right over here, and I can pick any one of these displays that I want. In this case, I'm going to choose a word cloud, which is one of my favorites. And the reason why I like that, because it's going to show whoever is the most attributing to the gross profit in this particular case is going to show up with bigger font. So I can see Cheney that's showing up there. I can see Spectrum. And again, if I put my mouse over, it tells me the numbers. But now what I can do is I can click on something like, maybe I want to click on Aaliyah. And now it's just going to show me Aaliyah's customers. You know, or maybe I want to look at not just Aaliyah, maybe I want to look at what's going on in Sweet Plantains. So again, I can just go over here to Sweet Plantains, and I can see exactly what's going on. And then maybe within Sweet Plantains, I want to see just Aaliyah. So again, showing me the information so I can see that we did 5.9 million with 1.2 million of GP. And I can see that Driscoll is the biggest one, accounting for 134,000 of GP. Really giving you that flexibility. So again, I always like to show how you can work with the tool from scratch without having to have a lot of expertise, without having to understand or need to know what are the relationships between the tables, what are the fields that are there. We're making it available to you to make it very, very easy and very, very simple. Now, some of the things that we can also do is we can create navigation paths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a navigation path that allows you to set up a drill down, set up a structure. So I'm going to click on drill paths over here, and it's going to ask me, well, what do you want when you create your navigation path? I'm going to open up the order book, and you're going to see the calendar. And from the calendar, I have things like calendar year, I've got calendar quarter, and I've got calendar month. So I've got that information available to me. I'm going to give it a name. So in this case, I'm just going to call it YQM. I click on OK. And now you're going to see that YQM that shows up in the top left-hand corner with that year, quarter, month. It could be anything. It could be year, quarter, month. It could be salesperson, customer, item. It could be 3 levels deep, 5 levels deep. You choose how you want that to look. But you can see how simple it is to create your own navigation path. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that information like calendar year. I'm going to take the information with regards to net sales. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop into the upper left-hand quadrant, taking them both at the same time. And again, what it's going to do is it's going to use a form of AI to say, based on the information that you provided, this is the best display that's there. But now you can see, wait a second, I'm only looking at 2023 because we filtered on 2023. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that filter. I'm going to say, you know what? Clear all my filters. I want to see all years. So now it's going to bring me all my years that I'm looking at. And again, it's only showing for Aaliyah, for Sweet Plantains. And again, I can change those filters at any point in time because maybe I don't want Sweet Plantains anymore. So I can control click it. And now it's going to show me for everything that Aaliyah did from 2016 all the way to 2024. If I like that display, that's great. But again, as I showed before, you have the ability to change the display if you don't like it. You can choose whatever display that you want if you see the ability to want to have a different kind of display that you want to look at. You just, again, you have that flexibility. But now that you have this display that's there, you can also put your mouse on 2023 as an example. If I click on it, I can actually right click and it actually gives me the ability to drill down. So now it's going to show me the trajectory that's going there. And again, I then have the ability, if I want, I can actually click on Q4 and look at the numbers, or Q3, and also have the ability to drill down as well. And all my visualizations are going to change as well. So again, really giving you that flexibility to work with things. And I could call this, for example, just call this my sales tab if I want, and then I can create a whole series of tabs across the board here that allow me to work with things. I can also bring additional filters up on top and be able to leverage them, because like say, for example, I have salesperson, I can just go ahead and bring that in, or maybe I want to bring in something else with regards to warehouse or whatever other information that you want to be able to do to be able to look at. And again, I have that ability to kind of just take in like a territory as an example, and then just bring it in. And then, you know, you can kind of pick and choose what you want. And then it just basically adds that to the filtering capability of your report or your dashboard. Okay. So that's kind of the first thing that I wanted to show you. The next thing that I wanted to show you was really showing you the ability on working with pre-created reports. So pre-created reports have the ability to have some prompts that are there. So I'm showing you just a simple report that's here where I can actually pick and choose some items that I want. As an example, I'll just pick and choose some elements, green plantain, Hawaiian. Again, I can just pick and choose what I want. I click on OK, and then again, it's just giving me this pre-built report. And again, I can scroll down, I can see that information, and I can see as an example within green plantains, I have to stones, and I can see that my on-hand quantity is 3,700. I have some on order of 43,000, but then I also have the ability to set up drill through. So I can have these summary reports that then allow me to go to lower levels of detail. So this was pre-created in advance, but again, it's very simple to create these reports and again, create these drill throughs where I can now click on to stones and it's going to launch another report where it's going to show me the details of that 3,700 and 33,000 broken down by item, where I can see the on-hand, on-order price, you know, last purchase cost, the lead time, and the last purchase date. So again, really giving you that flexibility. And at any point in time, you also then have the ability to click on edit, where you can bring in other fields that you might want to report on. Now, I'm looking at things here with regards to this information, but then what I can do is I can actually go in and say, you know what, I want to work with a blank report that I created. So I have this blank template that shows me that's all this information. So there's nothing on the screen. But now what I can do is I can start bringing in the information that I want. So I can open up my sales folder. I can open up my line key figures that are there, and I can bring in the information that I want, like gross sales, net sales, cost of goods sold, gross profit. Again, just drag and drop the fields that you want. Again, the way I've done that is I've just control click the items. I can do them one at a time if I want, no problem, just drag and drop. Or control click the ones that you want, and again, just drag them to where you want them, and they're there, they're showing you that information. Again, right now we're looking at this information for, you know, all particular years, but again, just giving you that flexibility. At any point in time, you can go in and choose a particular year that you want and say, you know what, I want this. I can just right click and I can just say, filter this report for just 2023 as an example. I click on OK, and now we're back to a number that we're looking at in regards to that. But now you have the ability to look at this however you want. You can take things, for example, you have your salesperson, where I can just drag and drop. And again, it's going to explode that information to other levels of detail. Maybe you want to be able to see it like that. Maybe you want to have some information where you have some calculations. So I can take this information, I can say, you know what, I like this, but you know what, I want to see my percent gross profit. So I can click on my gross profit field. I can click on my net sales. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this calculation button that becomes available. And it's going to ask me, well, what do you want? Do you want to do plus, minus, multiply? Do you want to do division? Or do you want to do percent gross profit on net sales? That's what I'm going to do. I click on it. And again, it's going to give me this field that's there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name by just double clicking on the field. And I say, you know what? The name that I want is just percent gross profit. So I'm going to remove the stuff that's there. And now I have that percent gross profit, and I then have the ability to move things to where I want. So now that I have this information, I can now start bringing things into context. Maybe what I'll do is I'll go to my item area, and maybe I want to see things by category. So again, I could just nest that information there if I want. And again, it's going to explode things out. Again, maybe I don't want to see these item category where there's no item category. So I can click on this item category and say, you know what? Click on the filter, exclude anything that has a negative or a dash. So again, it's going to remove that. And now what I can do is I can start playing with the report. I can start creating some groups. So now I can start seeing things that are going on. Here's the no sales employee. You know what? I don't want anybody that's a no sales employee. So I'm going to say exclude that. Now I'm starting to see the salespeople. I'm starting to see the information that's there. And now what I can do is I can click the fields that are here. I can select them all by control clicking them or doing them one at a time. And then I can actually start doing some default summaries. Again, giving me that information, being able to break up that information, seeing it by salesperson, by item category, being able to see that breakdown and being able to click the page down and so forth. So really giving you the flexibility to pick and choose how you want to be able to work with this information. It really gives you the information at your fingertips where you, again, you have the ability to simplify and be able to drag and drop things how you want without having to kind of worry. Now, there are reports that become available out of the box. So again, I can open up, for example, another report that we provide as an out of the box, which is a more advanced report. But again, it's giving customers the ability to work with some stuff that's showing you the possibility of the types of reports that can be made, but also we make this available to customers. So in this particular case, I can actually pick and choose what I want. I could say, I want a specific rep, or I want to be able to pick on all reps. Again, really giving me that flexibility. So I can say I want to pick on one particular sales rep. I can pick a period that I want. So I'll choose, for example, I'll choose June as an example. And I can say, do I want the top 3 performers, the bottom 3 performers? And then I just click on finish. So again, it's a prompted report, making that available to the users to be able to look at that. And then I can see that information, what it looks like. So in this particular case, I'm looking at one specific rep where I see their year-to-date performance, and I can see that what they did in sales, what they did in GP, what they were supposed to do against plan, and what that variance was, what they did last year, what the variance is against last year, did their profitability increase or decrease from last year, and what that variance was, and where they should have been from a plan perspective. And again, being able to look at it year to date, but then also seeing it month to date. So I can see that in this particular case, they're still falling short against last month or last month to date, as well as where they're at against the plan. Again, being able to see the information in regards to the sales history. What's the trajectory between prior year, current year, and plan, and see where things are going. Are things moving in the right direction? So last year, this person did 10. At the current pace, they're at 5. The plan that they're supposed to do is 14. And I can see right now the latest estimate that they're going to be based on where they're at from a current perspective, as well as what's planned. If they stick to plan, right now they're going to be at 12 million when they should be at 14. So really giving you some details. But then if I click the page down, I then have the ability to see things a little bit more. Who are the customers? What did they do month to date against last year month to date? Again, really giving them that ability to see those details, not only at a month to date perspective, but also being able to see that same information at a year to date perspective. So really, again, giving that kind of flexibility, okay? So not only are we having that ability to work things from an operations perspective, but we also have things from a financial perspective as well, where you can actually, just run things where you have, where you can pick a P&L, where I can say, you know what, I want to run this for a particular financial year. I'm going to do this for 2023 as an example. Just click on finish. And again, it's going to give me that P&L information broken down month by month, being able to see what's going down, and then just being able to see the information, from a straight P&L perspective right down to the net income level. Again, really giving me that flexibility. I can either do this from a P&L perspective, I can do this from a balance sheet perspective, but really giving you things at your fingertips. But at the same time, just being able to provide information however you want to be able to see things. You can actually have some customized ones where you can have standard stuff where I can pick a specific period. In this case, I'll choose period 5, where again, some of the reports that you can have available at your fingertips from a balance sheet, being able to have things from a P&L, and again, just giving that capability of month to date versus year to date versus looking at things from a latest estimate as to where things are going to be by the end of the year based on actual and plan and pulling the plan directly from SAP. Now, again, looking at this information, we also have the ability to create very, very basic P&Ls where I can see as an example looking at the information, I can see in this particular case, my expenses, I can see where I'm at in my expenses, but then I have the ability to click on marketing expenses and say, you know what, I want more details on that $70,000 that was spent. So I can click on marketing expenses, and then I have the ability to click over here and say, just filter on marketing expenses. So now I can see that 70,000, and now what I can do is I can click on edit, and what's going to happen is the model for financial reporting is going to open up. And now what I can do is I can say, you know what, I want to get more information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what, take that 70,000 and explode it right down to the GL account. So now it's going to give me all of the GL that makes up that 70,000. But not only am I able to go right down to the GL level, stopping at level 3 first, but then I can actually go right into the transactions. I'm going to say, you know what, I want some more information. So what information do I want? I want things like, I want the posting date, I want the reference 1, reference 2 memo field, I want the cost center, the vendor, the customer, and maybe the transaction ID. And then what I can do is I can just drag and drop that onto the canvas, and it's going to explode that in the order in which I've selected them. So now it's going to give me all of the journal transactions that are there. And then what I can do is I can scroll through and see, you know what, I only want to see the stuff that was tagged to American Express. So I click on American Express, I go to the filter area, I say include American Express, and now I can see the 3 transactions that make up from the American Express for marketing expenses inside of these GL accounts. And at any point in time, I have the ability to either put this to a PDF or run it to Excel, and it's going to create an Excel spreadsheet for me to work with. So again, really giving you that flexibility in regards to working with this. So whether you're working from an operations perspective or whether you're working from a GL financial reporting perspective, really giving you that flexibility. Now, we're only touching on a few areas, as there's a lot of different areas, a lot of different modules where you could do the same thing. But again, I wanted to give you a little bit of a flavor of the type of flexibility, the type of reporting capacity that you can do, whether it be from a dashboard or from a report, and just to show you how easy it is to create things on your own, but also at the same time leveraging a model that's already been pre-done for you, but also at the same time some of the reports that are pre-made available for you that you can explore and use, just to show you the capacity in terms of where this kind of takes you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back over to the deck and talk to you a little bit about the scheduling and reporting. So any of these reports can be saved, any of these reports can be scheduled. So again, you can see in this particular case, once you've saved a report, you can schedule it and you can pick and choose which users are going to be getting these reports. You can have it sent off as an attachment, or you can have it sent off as a link where you can actually just click on the PDF or the spreadsheet and it's going to open up. Now, not only do you have the ability to schedule, but you can also burst out reports. So as an example, if you have 10 sales reps in a company and you have one report that's a salesman report, what you can do is you can burst it out. And what it'll do is with that one report, it's going to burst it out to all 10 reps, and it's only going to show them their information. So again, without having to manage and maintain, if you had 10 reps to manage and maintain 10 reports, you take one report and then you're just going to say, I want to burst it out on the salesperson, and then it's going to just fire off those emails to those salespeople. So really, again, giving you the ability to not only be able to send out reports to a variety of people, but really limit the amount of administration, because if you have to manage and maintain those 10 reports for each individual sales rep, and let's say all of a sudden you want to add a new field or you want to make a new calculation or so forth, you've got to do that to 10 reports. In this case, you're doing it to 1 and everyone's getting that same change. So in terms of the business value prop, it's very easy to implement. It's simple to use. The solution can be deployed very quickly because we're giving you that vanilla model to get you started, which can then be customized with your UDFs or any other fields that you want. But again, it's a quick deployment to get the vanilla version in play. It's relatively inexpensive and you get that quick time to value. Now, for those customers that have other data sets, we can bring in consolidated data. So as an example, we've had customers where they just went on to SAP and they have their old system and they want to be able to bring that information in. What we can do is we can bring in those other transactions into the same sales table. And then what we'll do is we'll create a prefix. So we'll create that prefix that allows them to differentiate between the old data and the new data. But again, giving them that ability to kind of work with the information in sort of one reporting environment as opposed to having multiple areas. Now, in terms of the methodology, it's a, this is the standard methodology that we use for all customers, even for customers that are non-SAP related. But when you're running SAP Business One, we're able to eliminate that whole middle level because we already created the database design. We already have the build and play. The models are there, reports are there. It gives you that. That's why it allows you to be able to get something up and running very, very quickly in regards to your environment. Okay, so again, it's a quick start for SAP Business One. Now, the roadmap from the solution, it was born in 2017, and as we've evolved over the years, we've added additional modules. And you can see the trajectory of what's been going on, even some of the new modules that we created. There's about 3 or 4 that are in the works as we speak right now. But again, if there are things that you'd like to be able to see that aren't there, either, you can ask us if we're working on it, and if we don't or we don't have it, we'd be more than happy to work with you and be able to create those modules specific to your user requirements. So again, just to show you how things have evolved over time in terms of where we started and where we are today. So today, again, we have approximately 30 pre-built modules ready to go. From an architecture perspective, the solution connects to SAP Business One, but you can also bring in other data sources, whether it's Excel spreadsheets, whether it's other SQL data sources, whether it's other cloud sources, whether it's a CRM system, like Salesforce as an example, or maybe another ERP that you want to be able to integrate as well. We can pull information and put it into one area. Now, what we're doing is we're using our own intellectual property called ICI that allows us to extract the information from the various data sources, and we're bringing it into a standardized staging area. From that staging area, we can then go ahead and populate one version of the truth from a staging perspective, but then we're going ahead and building that data warehouse. That data warehouse is basically taking today about 80 or 90 tables from SAP Business One, and then we're massaging it and bringing it in and making it about 12 tables inside of the data warehouse to make it easier for reporting and dashboarding, because again, we're trying to simplify the process so the users don't need to know the relationships, they don't need to know the fields. All that information is pre-done for you. And then what we do is we take the IBM tools and we connect that onto the data warehouse, and using that capability, what we showed allows you to kind of build those reports and dashboards. Okay. So in terms of the modules, the way we kind of go to market is we have operations, and these are all the different modules that are available today. We have the financial reporting. These are the modules that are available, as well as the sales budgeting side of things. Now, from an implementation, it's full turnkey. We give you everything that you need from the reporting and dashboarding stuff, the admin tools. We do a kickoff, we install and configure the services, the training. Everything is full turnkey to get you started and being there as a resource for you when you go live. So if there are questions that you have, how do I do this? How do I do that? Again, we're there to show you all that information. We're leveraging a solution from IBM that is used from millions of users around the world. But what we've done is we've taken all of that architecture, all of that intellectual property from IBM, and we've made it available pre-built for SAP Business One customers at a greatly reduced price, because again, we're hitting a market that's very, very specific, and we've pre-built it for them. Now, in terms of the architecture from hardware, we do require access to SAP Business One, whether it's SQL Server or whether it's HANA, and then there's also a VM where we need to kind of put the application on. So that's the overall architecture. But in terms of, what we say is when you're looking at solutions, there's a lot of different solutions that are out there that could do these kind of things where you're building things from scratch. We call that reinventing the wheel. You also have others where you can buy software that's out there and then you can customize it to make it work. But then there's also turnkey, where you can just purchase it and go live very quickly within a 2 to 3 week window. Where we fit in is in that turnkey area. We're giving you something that you don't have to spend months and months to be able to, or years, to be able to build out what we've already created. You can leverage what's there and you can go live very, very quickly. So at the end of the day, that's the solution. So just to give you a little bit of information on who we are. So we are a privately held company, founded in 2008. Our global headquarters are in Canada with sales offices in the US and the United Kingdom. We are an IBM, Microsoft, and SAP partner with a team of certified professionals. And all we do is focus in on reporting, dashboarding, planning, budgeting, and forecasting, leveraging the IBM technology for SAP Business One customers. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just open up the floor for questions, and and I'll bring back Julie so we can just talk about that information and see if there are any other questions.
Hi, thanks, Corey. That was a very informative presentation there. I'm sure everyone who's on the presentation agrees that that's a powerful tool, very easy to use, and revolutionises your business really, and gets some proactive reporting out for you. So do we have any questions from anyone? I've got one in the chat. When you push the reports out to sales reps and things like that, where do they see those reports, and can they do their own analysis within those as well?
Yeah, so once they, if they're going to be scheduling those reports, what's going to happen is there's going to be one of two things that are going to happen. Those reports are either going to get scheduled and sent out with a URL link where they can click on, and it'll ask them to log into the system, and it'll bring them directly to that report. Or what you can do is you can actually include the attachment. So you can say, well, what attachment do you want? Do you want to receive it in a PDF? Do you want to receive it in Excel? And once that comes in a PDF or an Excel, it's an isolated file. So they can do whatever they want inside of Excel afterwards, but it's a static file. And you can kind of say, I want to schedule that on a regular basis. But again, once it comes to them via email, it's static if they're opening it up in, let's say, inside of a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, thank you. Next question, do you have to be an SAP user to design the reports?
Great question.
As in,
so
have a user SAP license?
The answer is no. And the reason being is because what we're doing is we're extracting the information out of SAP into our pre-built reporting database, and then we have the IBM technology that's connecting to that reporting database. So the answer is no, you do not need to be an SAP Business One user in order to work with the solution.
One more question. If I've got multi-companies, can I consolidate reports to look at information across multi-company?
Yes. So the answer is you can. The question that I always ask is, how do you want that to look? Because some customers, what they'll do is they'll say, I want to have, a reporting environment for company one. I want to have a separate reporting environment for company two. And then they'll ask us is, can you create a third environment or a third database that's there that consolidates certain information from both companies into one? So again, depending on what you want, we have the flexibility to do both.
Okay, thank you. That's it in the chat. Anyone in the audience? Anyone like to make a comment? Okay, everyone's been shy. Okay, well, just to let you all know, this has been recorded. We just need to do a little bit of editing on it afterwards, but it will be available to watch, and we'll send this out to everyone so you can watch at your leisure. And then I will follow up with you all for your comments and feedback and see what you might want to do next. So thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Corey.
Thank you so much, everyone. If you want to check out some more information, you can check out sap.newintelligence.ca. There's a lot of videos, a lot of white papers and demos that are there that you can see. And like I said, feel free to reach out. And I look forward to speaking to you guys. And if you want to have a more personalized demo for you and your company, feel free to reach out to Julie, and we'll be glad to coordinate and set that up for you.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.